The air in our home felt heavy, thick with unspoken words and simmering tensions. I stood in the kitchen, glancing at the clock, my heart racing. James should have been home by now. As the minutes ticked by, a knot tightened in my stomach. I could sense it. Something wasn't right. When he finally walked through the front door, the weariness etched on his face confirmed my fears. I turned, my voice steady but laced with disappointment. "James, where have you been? I thought we agreed you'd stay on top of your studies." He shrugged, looking anywhere but at me. "Just hanging out with friends, Mum." His nonchalance ignited a fire within me. "Hanging out? Is that what you call skipping classes? You're throwing away your future." My words hung in the air, sharp and biting, and I could see him bristle at the accusation. "Maybe if you didn't put so much pressure on me, I wouldn't need to escape." He shot back, his voice rising. The clash echoed through the house, and I felt the weight of my own expectations crashing down on us. I had poured so much of myself into ensuring he had every opportunity. But here we were, the promise of a bright future, now feeling like a distant dream. "Do you think I want this?" I pressed, desperation creeping into my voice. "I'm doing this for your own good, James. I want you to succeed." But he didn't want to hear it. "I'm not you, Mum. I don't want to be you." The words cut deeper than any knife. In that moment, I felt the rift between us widen, the very foundation of our bond cracking under the strain. As I turned away, I felt tears prick at the corners of my eyes. This wasn't just about his grades. It was about my fear of failure, my fear of watching him slip into the same struggles I had faced. I wanted him to thrive, to soar where I had stumbled. In the quiet that followed, I caught a glimpse of Sarah, my younger daughter. She stood by the staircase, wide-eyed and silent, caught in the crossfire of our argument. I felt a pang of guilt. I had wanted to create a home filled with love and support, but instead, we were spiraling into chaos. Later that evening, as the house settled into an uneasy silence, I was consumed by memories of my own struggles. I recalled the late nights spent studying, the weight of expectations pressing down on my shoulders. My parents had hoped for greatness, and I had fought tooth and nail to meet those aspirations. But I had also borne the burden of their dreams, and I didn't want that for James. Robert, my husband, entered the room, his expression a mixture of concern and weariness. "What's going on, Jen? I could hear you two from the living room." I sighed, running a hand through my hair. "It's James. I just don't understand why he wouldn't take his education seriously." Robert nodded, his brow furrowing. "He's young. Maybe he needs a little guidance, not just pressure. You know how hard it was for you. You've been pushing him." His words stung. I felt the weight of my own expectations crashing down again. "I'm just trying to ensure he doesn't make the same mistakes I did." "But suffocating him won't help," Robert replied gently. "He needs to find his own path. We can't live his life for him." As the night stretched on, I wrestled with my fears. I could see the cracks forming in our family. Each argument pushed us further apart, and I wasn't sure how to bridge the gap. I wanted to be the mother he needed, yet I felt lost in my own insecurities. The following morning, I found myself staring at James's report card, hidden away under his bed. The grades were shocking, a stark reminder of his struggles. I felt my heart sink. I had hoped for better, but now it was clear. Our family was at a crossroads. "James," I called, trying to keep my voice steady. "Can we talk about this?" He entered the room, his expression unreadable. Are there to talk about?" The tension hung thick between us, but I pressed on. "I found your report card." "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because I knew you'd react like this," he snapped, frustration spilling over. "React how? With love and concern." "I don't need your concern. I need you to trust me." His words stung, and I felt myself retreating, hurt and confused. This wasn't the relationship I wanted with my son. I needed to find a way to help him without suffocating him, to show him that failure didn't define him but could be a stepping stone toward redemption. Just then, a voice broke through my thoughts. "Mum, what's wrong?" Sarah stood at the doorway, innocence shining through her worried gaze. I realized then that this conflict was not just about James, it was affecting everyone. I took a deep breath, trying to steady myself. "We're just having a little misunderstanding, honey. It'll be okay." But inside, I felt anything but okay. The road ahead seemed murky, and I feared what lay ahead. I had to find a way forward, for all of us. As I sat quietly, pondering our next steps, I knew I needed to reach out for help. I couldn't do this alone. I needed to mend the rift, to find the strength to guide James without losing him in the process. But what if my attempts only pushed him further away? What if I failed again? The uncertainty loomed, and I felt the weight of responsibility settle heavily on my shoulders. I needed to gather my thoughts, to seek the wisdom from others who had walked this path before. The stakes were high, and I longed for healing for both James and myself. Tomorrow would be a new day, a chance to start fresh, but would I be brave enough to take the first step? Would I have the courage to face my fears head-on, to seek the path of understanding and grace? As I wrestled with these questions, I knew the answer could change everything. The sun rose the next morning, casting a warm glow. Over the kitchen, I stood by the window, lost in thought. The kettle whistled, breaking the silence. I poured myself a cup of tea, its warmth grounding me. Today would be different. I could feel it in my bones. As I sipped, my mind wandered back to the night before. James's frustration echoed in my ears, a reminder of the distance between us. I needed to approach him differently. Pressure wouldn't work. I needed to be his ally, not his adversary. I heard the sound of footsteps. James shuffled into the kitchen, his hair tousled, eyes still heavy with sleep. He grabbed a slice of toast without looking at me. "Morning," he mumbled, barely audible. "Morning, love," I replied, my voice steady, trying to bridge the gap. "Can we talk?" He looked up, a flicker of apprehension crossing his face. "About what?" "About us. About school. I just want to understand." A long pause hung between us. I could see the wheels turning in his head. Finally, he sat down, the tension still palpable. "What's there to understand?" "You just want me to be perfect." "No," I said softly. "I want you to be you. I want you to feel free to make mistakes and learn from them. I've made plenty." His eyes narrowed. "Yeah, but you didn't have to worry about anything. You had it easy." "Easy?" I chuckled, but there was no humor in it. "I worked hard to get where I am, and I still struggled. I just want to give you opportunities, not pressure you." He stared at his toast, picking at the edges. "It feels like pressure." I leaned in, trying to connect with him. "I know it does, and I'm sorry. I just want the best for you, but I realize now that I need to listen more." He glanced at me, surprise flickering in his eyes. "Really?" "Yes, really. I want us to work together. I want to hear what you want." For a moment, I thought I saw a glimmer of hope in his expression. "I just want to enjoy life, Mum." "School feels like a prison sometimes. Life is about balance, isn't it?" I replied, my words deliberate. "It's okay to enjoy yourself. You can still focus on your studies and have fun. We can find a way to make it work." He sighed, running a hand through his hair. "I don't know if I can do it all." "Then let's figure it out together. We can take small steps. You don't have to carry the weight alone." He blinked, absorbing my words. "What if I fail?" "Then we'll pick you up. Failure isn't the end. It's part of growing. Look at me. I thought I'd failed when I didn't get into the university I wanted, but it led me to something better." "I guess," he replied, uncertainty still clouding his eyes. "Let's set some goals together. Not just grades, but things that matter to you. What do you enjoy?" A small smile crept onto his face. "I like art. I'm thinking about taking a class." "Art. That's amazing. Let's explore that. It doesn't have to be all about academics." As we spoke, I noticed the tension easing. The warmth of connection began to wrap around us. "I just want to feel like I'm not failing you," he admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. "You're not failing me. You're growing, and that's what matters. We'll help each other." A cautious smile broke through the clouds of his frustration. "Okay, Mum." I felt a wave of relief wash over me. This was a start, a flicker of hope. After breakfast, I suggested we take a walk. Fresh air always cleared the mind. As we stepped outside, I took a deep breath, the crisp morning air filling my lungs. With every step, I felt a little lighter. "Do you remember when you were little? We used to go on nature walks and collect leaves?" He chuckled, the sound lifting my spirits. "Yeah, I remember. You made a scrapbook of all the different ones." "Exactly. Collecting those leaves was about appreciating the Klaptization Verleven. Beauty around us. Life is like that, James. Sometimes, it's about the journey, not just the destination. He nodded, the corners of his mouth lifting. I get that. We walked in companionable silence for a bit. The sun broke through the clouds, illuminating the path ahead. Just then, Sarah joined us, skipping along with her little legs. "Can I come?" she chirped, her excitement infectious. "Of course, sweetheart," I replied, smiling at her. "We're just having a chat." "About what?" she asked, looking up at James with curiosity. "About our goals," I said, "and how to enjoy life." "Can I have goals too?" she asked, her eyes wide with anticipation. "Absolutely. What do you want to achieve?" "I want to be the fastest runner in my class," she declared, her confidence shining. "That's a great goal, Sarah." "We can work towards it together," James said, suddenly animated. As we continued our walk, the air felt lighter. The heaviness that had once settled in our home began to dissipate. We were learning to communicate, to share our dreams, and to support one another. Later that evening, as the sun set, I gathered the family. "Let's create a family goals board," I suggested. "We can each write down our aspirations and check in on each other." James looked at me, a spark of interest igniting in his eyes. "That sounds fun." "Yeah, I want to put my running goal on it," Sarah chimed in, bouncing in her seat. "Count me in," James said, his voice filled with newfound enthusiasm. In that moment, I felt a wave of gratitude. We were beginning to turn the ship around, navigating the turbulent waters of family dynamics with openness and understanding. The rift was healing. We were taking steps toward redemption, one conversation at a time. I knew there would be challenges ahead, but I felt hopeful. Together, we could find our way through. Tomorrow was a new day, and I was ready to embrace it with faith, love, and determination. The next morning dawned bright and clear, a testament to the promise of a fresh start. I stood in the kitchen, the smell of toast filling the air, as I prepared breakfast for my family. My heart felt lighter, buoyed by the hope of our goals board. I envisioned it hanging proudly in our living room, a tangible reminder of our commitment to each other. James shuffled in first. His eyes were still heavy with sleep, but there was a hint of something different today. Maybe it was curiosity or the remnants of our conversation from yesterday. I poured him a cup of tea, a small ritual that felt grounding. "Morning, love," I greeted, offering him a warm smile. "Morning," he replied, taking his seat at the table. The tension from the days before seemed to hang in the air, but I was determined to break it. "Ready for a new day?" I asked, my tone light, hoping to draw him out. He shrugged, but the corners of his mouth twitched upward. "I suppose." "Let's make today meaningful," I suggested, eager to keep the momentum going. "What's the first thing on your mind?" "I dunno," he replied, mulling it over. "Maybe art? I was thinking about what I want to draw." "Art sounds wonderful. What are you thinking of?" He paused, his expression transforming as he contemplated. "I want to draw our garden. It's blooming, and it looks really nice right now." "Brilliant idea. You've always had a knack for capturing beauty," I encouraged, feeling a surge of pride. As we chatted, Sarah bustled in, her energy filling the room. "What's for breakfast?" she exclaimed, her eyes sparkling. "Toast and some fruit," I replied. "And we're talking about our goals." "Can I have a goal about breakfast?" she asked, her innocence charming. "Sure, what do you have in mind?" "I want to eat the biggest slice of toast," she declared, and we all laughed. With breakfast finished, we gathered around the living room, ready to create our goals board. I laid out colorful markers, a stack of blank cards, and a corkboard. "Let's decorate the board first. We can make it as bright as our dreams," I said, handing out materials. James hesitated, but as he picked up a blue marker, he began to doodle. Sarah, on the other hand, dove in with both feet, decorating her card with glitter and stickers. The room buzzed with creativity, and I felt a warmth spreading through my heart. "Can I write fastest runner on mine?" Sarah asked, her eyes shining. "Absolutely. And let's add a picture of you running," I encouraged. James glanced at Sarah's enthusiasm, and with a gentle smile said, "And I'll draw a garden for my art goal." As we worked, laughter echoed around us, a sweet melody that soothed the remnants of tension. I could see James relaxing, his shoulders dropping as he engaged with Sarah's excitement. Once our cards were ready, I gathered us together. "Let's share what we've written," I proposed, my voice steady. I want to be the fastest runner in my class, Sarah declared, her voice bubbling with pride. Fantastic, sweetheart. We'll work on your running together, I replied, beaming at her. I want to draw a beautiful garden, James shared, his tone more confident than I'd heard in ages. That sounds amazing, James. Your art will bring joy to everyone, I said, feeling a swell of gratitude for his openness. Finally, it was my turn. I want us to be a close-knit family, supporting each other through everything. I want to make more time for us to connect. The atmosphere shifted as we pinned our goals to the board. Each card represented not just aspirations, but also the bonds we were forging. Let's check in on these every week, I suggested. We can celebrate our accomplishments and talk about what we need to work on. Like a family meeting? James asked, raising an eyebrow. Exactly. It'll be our time to connect, I affirmed, smiling at him. Count me in, he replied, and I felt a warmth in my chest. That evening, I decided to cook a special dinner, the kitchen filled with the aroma of roasted chicken and vegetables, and I could hear James and Sarah playing in the living room. Their laughter was a balm to my soul. As we gathered at the table, I could see the excitement in their eyes, and I felt a sense of gratitude wash over me. Tonight, let's share one thing we're proud of from our day, I suggested, knowing this would foster connection. I finished my drawing, James announced, a hint of pride in his voice. I ran around the block twice, Sarah exclaimed, her cheeks flushed with excitement. I'm proud of you both. I took a moment to breathe and appreciate our garden, I shared, my heart swelling. As we ate, our conversation flowed more freely. We talked about school, friends, and what we wanted to do over the weekend. Suddenly, there was a knock at the door. I exchanged glances with James, curiously wondering who it could be. He got up to answer, and moments later, a familiar face appeared. Hello, Mrs. Thompson. Is James home? It was his friend, Mark. The sight of him made James perk up, and I could see the spark of joy in his eyes. Yeah, I'm here, James replied, rushing to join him. Can we go outside for a bit? Mark asked, glancing at me. Of course. Just be back by dinner, I instructed, my heart feeling lighter. As the boys dashed out, I turned to Sarah. How about we finish decorating the goals board? Yay! She cheered, and we set to work, the air filled with the sound of laughter and love. Later that evening, as I tucked Sarah into bed, I thought about the day. A new rhythm was forming in our family, a dance of understanding and support. I kissed her forehead, whispering words of encouragement, reminding her of her running goal. As I headed to my room, I found James sitting on his bed, sketching. Can I come in? I asked gently, not wanting to interrupt his flow. Sure, Mum, he said, looking up. Your drawing looks fantastic. You've captured the garden beautifully, I complimented, gazing at the vibrant colors. Thanks, he replied, a shy smile appearing. Do you feel better about everything? He paused, contemplating. Yeah, I do. I think I can do this. That's the spirit. Remember, it's not about being perfect. It's about growing. Right, he nodded, his eyes steady. I'm glad we talked. It feels different now. Me too, I said, feeling a wave of relief. We exchanged a few more words, and as I left the room, I knew we were on the right path. Our family was beginning to heal, and I felt hopeful. Tomorrow would be another chance. We would face whatever came our way. Together, with faith and love, we could overcome anything. The sun shone through the kitchen window, casting a warm glow on the breakfast table. I bustled about, preparing a simple spread of pancakes and fresh fruit. The aroma filled the room, a sweet invitation to start the day. I could hear Sarah humming a tune, a lightness in her step as she danced into the kitchen. Mum, can I help? She asked, her eyes bright with energy. Of course, sweetheart. Can you set the table for us? I replied, handing her the plates. James shuffled in, a sleepy grin on his face. Morning, he mumbled, running a hand through his tousled hair. Morning. Hope you're ready for a day of possibilities, I encouraged, trying to keep the hopeful spirit alive. He shrugged but helped himself to a seat, pouring syrup over his pancakes. As we gathered around the table, I felt a surge of gratitude wash over me. Let's share one thing we're excited about today, I suggested, wanting to keep the conversation flowing. I want to finish my drawing, James said, his voice gaining strength. I want to play outside. Sarah chimed in, her enthusiasm infectious. I'm excited to work on our garden, I added, my heart swelling with pride for the dreams we were nurturing. After breakfast, we headed outside. The garden was alive with color, a riot of blooms reaching for the sky. "Look at these daisies," Sarah exclaimed, kneeling down to examine them closely. "Let's make a flower crown," she declared, her eyes sparkling with mischief. "All right, let's do it," I said, chuckling at her contagious spirit. James watched, a small smile creeping onto his face. "Can I help?" he asked, surprising us both. "Absolutely. Grab some flowers," I replied, feeling a warmth in my chest. As we worked together, weaving daisies and buttercups into a crown, laughter filled the air. I watched as James and Sarah's playful banter grew, their sibling bond deepening. With each flower we added, I felt the weight of our past arguments slowly lifting. Once the crown was complete, Sarah proudly placed it atop her head. "Look at me, I'm a flower princess," she declared, twirling in delight. James chuckled, and for a moment, I saw the boy he used to be, unburdened by the weight of expectations. "You look amazing," he said, playfully bowing. "Can I be a prince?" he added, a glint of mischief in his eyes. "Of course. Every princess needs a prince," I replied, joining in their game. As they ran around the garden, I took a moment to reflect. The past few days had been tough, but this felt different. We were learning to communicate, to express our feelings, and most importantly, to support one another. In the afternoon, we gathered under the shade of our oak tree, its branches stretching wide like a protective embrace. "Let's talk about our goals," I suggested, eager to keep our newfound momentum. James pulled out his sketchbook, flipping through the pages until he found his drawing of the garden. "I want to paint this," he said, his voice steady. "I think it could be my best work yet." "That's a fantastic goal," I affirmed, my heart swelling with pride. "What do you need to get started? Maybe some new paints?" he replied, glancing at me. "Consider it done," I said, feeling a rush of excitement. Turning to Sarah, I asked, "What about you, love? What's next for the fastest runner?" "I want to practice every day," she said, determination shining in her eyes. "Yes, let's set a time for that. We can make it a fun routine," I suggested, loving the idea of our family coming together in this way. As the sun began to dip lower in the sky, painting the horizon in hues of orange and pink, I felt a wave of contentment wash over me. We gathered our supplies and began to tidy up, sharing stories and laughter. Later that evening, as I prepared dinner, I could hear the boys joking around in the living room. It was a sound I had missed, the sound of joy, of connection. I let myself smile, thankful for the progress we had made. "Dinner's ready," I called, plating the meal with care. As they joined me at the table, I felt a sense of belonging swell within me. "Can we talk about our goals again?" James asked, surprising me with his enthusiasm. "Absolutely," I replied, eager to nurture that spark. "I want to show my painting at school," he said, his eyes shining. "That's a brilliant idea. We'll make sure you have everything you need to make it happen," I assured him, feeling a rush of pride. "I want to run a race," Sarah exclaimed, her face lighting up. "I can help you train for that," I suggested, my heart swelling with love. As we shared our dreams and aspirations, I felt the bonds between us strengthening, weaving a tapestry of hope and resilience. Each goal was not just a dream but a step toward healing, a path toward understanding one another. After dinner, we gathered in the living room, the atmosphere warm and inviting. As I looked into their faces, I felt a wave of gratitude wash over me. This was our journey, a journey of exploration, forgiveness, and growth. "Let's check in on our goals every week," I proposed, eager to keep the momentum going. "Like a family meeting?" James asked, his voice reflecting genuine interest. "Exactly! We'll celebrate our progress and support one another," I affirmed, feeling a spark of excitement. "Count me in," he replied, a smile breaking across his face. As the day came to a close, I tucked Sarah into bed, her flower crown resting beside her. "Good night, my little princess," I whispered, kissing her forehead. "Good night, Mum," she replied, her voice sleepy but content. I headed to James's room, finding him still sketching. "Can I come in?" I asked softly. "Sure, Mum," he said, looking up with a genuine smile. "Your drawings are coming along beautifully. I can't wait to see the finished piece," I complimented, feeling a sense of pride swell within me. "Thanks," he replied. the sense of connection between us palpable. As I left his room, I felt a renewed sense of hope. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, but together we would face them head-on. With faith and love, we would continue to grow. The journey ahead was ours, and I was ready for whatever came our way. The next morning arrived with a fog that clung to the windows, a reflection of the unease still hanging in the air. As I sipped my coffee, I caught a glimpse of James through the kitchen window. He was sitting on the porch steps, staring out into the misty morning. I felt a pang of concern. "James, breakfast is ready," I called, hoping to draw him back into our routine. He didn't respond. Instead, he remained lost in thought, his shoulders hunched, a picture of teenage turmoil. I joined him outside, the cool air nipping at my skin. "You all right?" I asked, careful not to push too hard. He shrugged again, the weight of his silence heavier than the morning fog. "Just thinking." "About school?" I ventured, trying to bridge the widening gap between us. "More like everything," he replied, his voice barely above a whisper. "Your goals?" I pressed gently, wanting to ignite that spark we had found before. "Yeah, something like that." He finally met my gaze, and I saw a flicker of vulnerability. "I just don't know if I can do it, Mum. The painting, the race, all of it." My heart sank. "You've got this, James. Remember what we talked about? Taking it one step at a time?" He looked away, the uncertainty etched across his face. "It's easier said than done." "That's true," I admitted, my voice soft. "But every journey has its bumps. The important thing is to keep moving forward." He sighed, frustration bubbling beneath the surface. "Why can't you just let me be me? I'm not you. I don't want to meet your expectations." His words struck like a thunderclap. I felt my defenses rising, a mix of anger and hurt threatening to surface. "This isn't just about me. I want you to succeed because I believe in you." "Maybe I don't want to succeed in the way you think I should," he retorted, his voice rising. I took a deep breath, swallowing the hurt. "I just want what's best for you, James. Can you see that? Best for me or best for you?" He shot back, the accusation hanging heavy between us. Before I could respond, Sarah appeared, her little face brightening the tension. "Can we go to the park today?" she asked, her excitement palpable. "Maybe later, sweetheart," I replied, glancing at James. "We're having a bit of a chat right now." "I can see that," she said, her innocence cutting through the thick air. "You both look like you're about to fight." James let out a small laugh, the tension momentarily breaking. "Maybe we are, Sarah." "Don't fight," she said, her voice firm. "We're a family." Her sincerity struck a chord. I felt my heart soften, a reminder of what truly mattered. "You're right, love. We just need to work through this." James crossed his arms, still unsure. "I just wish you'd trust me to find my own way." "Trust takes time," I replied, my voice steady, "but I'll always be here to support you." He nodded slowly, the fight leaving his posture. "Okay, I'll try. But it's hard, Mum." "I know it is, but together, we can face it." After breakfast, I watched as the kids played outside. Sarah chased James, her laughter echoing through the air. A sense of normalcy was returning, but I sensed the undercurrents of tension still simmering beneath the surface. Later that afternoon, I decided to take them to the park. Fresh air might do us good. As we walked, I felt the warmth of the sun on my skin, hoping it would melt away some of the heaviness that had settled in our hearts. "Let's play a game," Sarah exclaimed, her energy infectious. "How about tag?" "All right, you're on," James replied, a hint of his old self emerging. As they dashed around, I couldn't help but smile. This was the joy I had been longing for. James and Sarah were lost in their own world, laughter ringing out like music. But as I watched, I felt a knot tighten in my chest. Would this moment last? Or would our unresolved issues come crashing back down? In the midst of their play, James paused, turning to me. "Mum, can we talk about something?" My heart raced. "Of course. What's on your mind?" "About the painting. I think I want to do it, but I'm scared." "Scared of what?" I asked, my voice calm yet encouraging. "Of failing. What if it's not good enough?" I stepped closer, wanting to connect with him. "You won't know until you try, James. Art is about expression, not perfection." "Yeah, but I feel like everyone expects me to be amazing," he confessed, looking vulnerable. Expectations can be overwhelming, but remember, it's your journey, not theirs. Find joy in the process, not just the outcome, I said, hoping to instill some wisdom. He nodded, processing my words. I guess I need to shift my mindset. Exactly. You've got talent, James. Let it shine. As the sun began to set, casting golden hues around us, I sensed a shift. The tension, while still present, was beginning to ease. We were finding our way back to one another, step by step. Later that evening, as we sat around the dinner table, I noticed a newfound openness among us. How was the park? I asked, serving up the meal. It was fun, Sarah exclaimed, her eyes sparkling. James added, You were right, Mum. I think I can do the painting. I just need to start. Great. We'll make an evening of it, just you and me, I replied, feeling a rush of pride. Can I help too? Sarah chimed in eagerly. Of course. The more the merrier. As we shared our meal, I felt the bonds between us tightening, weaving a tapestry of hope and love. The journey ahead was still uncertain, but together we were learning to navigate the challenges. After dinner, as I tucked Sarah into bed, I felt a sense of peace wash over me. Good night, my little flower princess, I whispered, kissing her forehead. Good night, Mum, she murmured, her eyes fluttering closed. I headed to James's room, finding him sketching again. How's it going? I asked softly. Pretty good. I think I might add some more details, he replied, a smile breaking across his face. I felt a wave of hope. I can't wait to see it when you're done. Thanks, Mum, he said, the connection between us growing, stronger. As I left his room, I felt a renewed sense of faith. Tomorrow would bring its own challenges, but together, we were learning to face them. We would rise above, hand in hand, finding our way through the fog. The morning light streamed through the kitchen window, casting a warm glow over the table. I busied myself with breakfast, the smell of bacon and toast filling the air. Just as I placed the plates down, James trudged in, hair tousled and eyes still heavy with sleep. Morning, sleepyhead, I greeted, trying to keep the atmosphere light. Morning, he mumbled, flopping into a chair. Ready for a new day? I asked, pouring a cup of coffee. He shrugged, the familiar tension still lingering. I guess. Let's talk about the painting again, I suggested, hoping to ignite that spark from yesterday. James looked up, surprise flickering in his eyes. You still want to? Of course. I believe in you. Every masterpiece starts with a single brushstroke, I replied, my optimism unwavering. He fiddled with his fork, contemplating. What if it's rubbish? Art is subjective, love. It's not about being perfect. It's about expressing yourself, I reassured him. Yeah, I know. He took a deep breath, the weight of his worries evident. I just don't want to let anyone down. You won't. You're allowed to take risks, to make mistakes. That's how we grow, I said, trying to instill a sense of confidence. As we finished breakfast, Sarah came bounding in, her energy like a burst of sunshine. Can we go to the park again today, Mum? I want to play on the swings. Absolutely. We can have a picnic, I said, glancing at James. How about you bring your sketchbook? Get inspired by nature. Yeah, okay, he replied slowly, but I could see the wheels turning in his mind. Later, the three of us packed a basket with sandwiches, fruit, and juice. The air buzzed with excitement as we made our way to the park. As we arrived, I watched Sarah dash toward the swings, her laughter ringing out like music. James lingered behind, hesitant. You coming? I asked, beckoning him forward. I'll just sit for a bit, he replied, finding a shady spot beneath a tree. Suit yourself, I said, settling down on a blanket. I spread out the food, and soon Sarah was swinging, her joy infectious. Each push sent her higher, her hair flying in the wind. Look, Mum, I'm flying! She shouted, her face bright with delight. James glanced at her, a small smile tugging at his lips. I could see the love he had for his sister, the protective instinct buried somewhere beneath his uncertainty. Come on, James, join us! I called, but he shook his head. Maybe later, he murmured, his eyes focused on the sketchbook in his lap. As Sarah continued to swing, I decided to give James some space. I watched the clouds drift lazily across the sky, feeling a sense of calm. After a while, I noticed James flipping through his sketchbook. He seemed lost in thought, his brow furrowed in concentration. I approached him cautiously. What are you working on? Just some ideas for the painting, he replied, his tone a mix of pride and apprehension. Can I see? I asked, my heart racing at the thought of him sharing. Okay, he said, hesitantly flipping the pages. There were rough sketches, some vibrant, others more subdued. Each stroke of his pencil spoke volumes about his feelings and fears. Wow, James, these are incredible, I exclaimed, genuinely amazed. You have such talent. I can see the passion in your work. He looked up, surprise flickering across his face. Really? Absolutely. You have a gift. Don't be afraid to share it with the world, I encouraged, my voice warm with conviction. As he absorbed my words, I felt a shift. Hope was beginning to seep into the cracks of our relationship, filling the void left by doubt and fear. I'll try, he said slowly, the determination creeping into his voice. Maybe I could paint something for the school art show. That's the spirit, I said, a wave of pride swelling within me. You've got this, James. The sun began to dip lower in the sky, casting golden light on everything it touched. Sarah, her cheeks flushed and hair wild from play, came running over. Can we have our picnic now? Of course. I'm starving, James said, a genuine grin breaking across his face. As we gathered around the blanket, I felt the warmth of family enveloping us. We shared laughter and stories, and I watched as James began to truly engage with Sarah. I'll race you, he challenged, leaping up from the blanket. Okay, she squealed, her laughter echoing across the park. As they dashed off, I sat back, my heart swelling with gratitude. This was what I had longed for, a moment of connection after so much struggle. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in hues of pink and orange, I knew our journey was far from over. But for the first time in a while, I felt hopeful. We were learning to communicate, to open our hearts, and to embrace the challenges ahead. Later that evening, as we returned home, I noticed James humming softly to himself. It was a small sign, but it filled me with joy. What's that tune? I asked, curiosity piqued. Oh, just something I made up, he replied, a hint of shyness creeping in. Can I hear it sometime? I asked, genuinely interested. Maybe, he smiled, the spark of creativity igniting within him. As we settled in for the night, I tucked Sarah into bed, her eyelids drooping with sleep. Good night, my little sunshine, I whispered. Good night, Mum, she murmured, her smile fading into slumber. I found James in his room, pensively sketching again. How's the painting coming along? I inquired, leaning against the doorframe. Getting there, he replied, looking up at me. Thanks for believing in me, Mum. Always. You're my son, and I'll always be in your corner, I said, pride swelling in my chest. As I turned to leave, I glanced back at him, a sense of hope settling in my heart. Tomorrow would bring its own challenges, but we were finding our way together. Hand in hand, we would navigate the fog, emerging stronger than before. The next morning dawned bright and clear, a stark contrast to the storm clouds that had loomed over us for weeks. I felt a renewed sense of resolve as I prepared breakfast, the familiar routine grounding me. James shuffled in, his hair still tousled. Morning, he said, his voice still thick with sleep. Morning, sleepyhead, I replied, trying to infuse some cheer into the air. How's the painting feeling this morning? He paused, eyes flickering to the floor. Still working on it. Anything you'd like to share? I nudged gently, sensing a hesitation behind his words. Not yet, he murmured, pouring cereal into a bowl. As the minutes passed, I watched him steal glances towards the window, as if searching for inspiration. I wanted him to know that every great artist faces doubt, that it's part of the process. You know, even the best have moments of uncertainty. It's how they push through that makes them great. He nodded, but his eyes remained distant. After breakfast, I suggested our usual morning routine of a quick walk to the nearby park. Let's take a breather before school. Fresh air might spark something in you. He sighed but relented. Okay, fine. As we strolled, the sun bathed us in warmth. I took a deep breath, allowing the scent of blooming flowers to fill my lungs. Each step felt lighter, but I could see James still carried the weight of his thoughts. James, can I ask you something? I ventured, breaking the silence. Sure, he replied, though I could sense his guardedness. Do you feel like there's something holding you back? He hesitated, the words dancing on the tip of his tongue. It's just, I don't know. I feel like I'm stuck between what I want and what you expect. A pang of guilt struck me. I had pushed him so hard to succeed that I hadn't considered what he truly desired. You're not alone in this. We can find a balance. Your dreams matter too. His gaze dropped to the pavement. Sometimes, I wish I could just do my own thing without feeling like I'm disappointing you. I felt a stab of realization piercing through my heart. You won't disappoint me by being yourself. I want you to find your path. As we reached the park, I could see Sarah from a distance, her laughter ringing out like a beacon. She was swinging high, her small body soaring through the air. Look, Mum, I'm flying! James's lips twitched upwards, but the joy on his face quickly faded. Come on, let's join her, I urged, but he hesitated again. I'll just sit here, he said, settling on a bench. All right, but I'll be right here if you need me, I assured him, my voice warm and encouraging. As I joined Sarah on the swings, I couldn't help but glance back at James. He sat there, sketchbook poised on his lap, staring into the distance. The sun glinted off the pages, and I hoped he would find the courage to express what was in his heart. After a while, I noticed a group of kids gathered near the empty space beside us. They were animated, laughing, and playing tag. My heart ached for James. He was missing out on the very essence of youth. Hey, James, I called, my voice bright. You want to try playing with them? He shook his head, his eyes never leaving the ground. I'm good. But I wasn't ready to give up. You know, you used to love playing tag. You were the fastest runner on picture. The block! He glanced up, surprise flickering in his eyes. That was ages ago. Maybe it's time to rediscover that part of yourself. For a moment, I saw a spark of interest, but it quickly faded. What if I'm not good enough? I walked towards him, sitting on the edge of the bench. It's not about being good enough. It's about having fun, letting go. Remember, every great artist learns through joy and play. He opened his mouth to protest but then closed it again. I could see the internal battle raging within him. Finally, he sighed deeply. All right, maybe I'll give it a go. Great, I beamed, the warmth of hope flooding my heart. As he approached the group, I felt as if I were witnessing a small miracle. Within moments, he was laughing, running, and embracing the moment. I watched as he joined in their games, his laughter mingling with Sarah's. As the sun climbed higher in the sky, I felt a sense of peace wash over me. He was finding joy again, stepping out of the shadows of our conflict. After an hour of playing, he returned, breathless and grinning. That was fun! I knew you had it in you, I exclaimed, pride swelling within me. Thanks for pushing me, Mom, he said, a newfound light in his eyes. Anytime, love. Remember, life is about balance, hard work and play. You need both to thrive. As we packed up to head home, I couldn't shake the feeling that something significant had shifted between us. Later that evening, I watched as James sat at the dining table, sketching furiously. I caught glimpses of his work, bold strokes, vibrant colors, and raw emotion. My heart swelled. Can I see? I asked quietly, moving closer. He hesitated but then turned his sketchbook towards me, revealing an intricate piece that encapsulated a moment from the park. It's not finished yet. It's beautiful, James. You're capturing your spirit, I said, my voice filled with awe. I think I might actually submit this to the art show, he said, his eyes lighting up with excitement. Do it. You'll never know unless you take that leap, I encouraged, my heart racing with pride. As the evening wore on, I realized we were not just healing, we were reconnecting in ways I had longed for. The rift that had once threatened to tear us apart was slowly stitching itself back together, thread by thread. In that moment of unity, I knew we were embarking on a new chapter. The struggles would still be there, but now we faced them together with strength, understanding, and love. The next morning arrived with a soft glow, a promise of new beginnings. As I prepared breakfast, the aroma of toast filled the kitchen, and I heard the familiar sound of footsteps overhead. James appeared, looking more refreshed than I had seen him in weeks. He took a seat at the table, his hair still tousled from sleep, but there was a lightness in his demeanor that hadn't been there before. Morning, he said, rubbing his eyes. Morning, love, I replied, trying to keep my enthusiasm at bay. How's the sketch coming along? He smiled faintly, a hint of pride creeping across his face. I think I'll finish it today. Wonderful. I can't wait to see it. Your art is a reflection of you, James. It shows your journey. He poured himself a bowl of cereal, but I could tell he was lost in thought. The shift from tension to creativity was palpable, and I wanted to nurture this newfound spark. Do you want to talk about what inspired you? I ventured cautiously, not wanting to push too hard. I don't know, he replied, looking down at his bowl. I guess I just felt something when I was playing yesterday. It reminded me of how much I used to love drawing. That's it. Finding joy in the little things can lead to great discoveries about yourself, I encouraged, my heart swelling with hope. After breakfast, I suggested we take another walk to the park. Let's embrace that inspiration together. Maybe we can even start a little project, something creative. He raised an eyebrow, skepticism clouding his face. What kind of project? Let's capture what we see, the colors, the sounds, the movement. We can each take our own perspective, I proposed, feeling excitement bubbling within me. All right, he acquiesced, his curiosity piqued. As we walked, the world seemed to vibrate with life. Children played, laughter rang out, and the trees swayed gently in the breeze. I felt invigorated, as if the very air was filled with possibilities. Look over there! I pointed toward a group of children weaving flowers into crowns. What do you see? James squinted, his brow furrowed in concentration. I see joy. They're just being kids. Exactly! It's pure and unfiltered. Can you capture that feeling? He nodded slowly, a glimmer of understanding lighting his eyes. We found a bench under a sprawling oak tree, the sunlight filtering through the leaves like golden threads. I pulled out my notebook, ready to jot down my thoughts, while James opened his sketchbook, fingers poised over the blank page. Just let it flow, James. No pressure. Remember, it's about discovery, not perfection, I reminded him gently, feeling the weight of my own expectations lift. He took a deep breath, and I could see him slowly letting go of the doubts that had plagued him. The pencil began to dance across the page, and I watched in awe as he captured the essence of the children playing, their laughter almost jumping off the sketch. Wow, that's incredible, I exclaimed, leaning closer to admire his work. You've really captured their spirit. He looked up, surprise flickering in his eyes. Thanks, Mum. I didn't think I could do it. See, you're discovering parts of yourself you didn't know existed. He smiled, a genuine smile that reached his eyes, and I felt a surge of gratitude wash over me. As the sun climbed higher, we spent hours drawing, sharing ideas, and laughing. The air was filled with inspiration and warmth. I found myself encouraging him to explore different angles, different colors, and emotions. Art is about expressing who you are, James, I said, my voice soft but firm. Don't be afraid to show your heart. He nodded, and I could see a flicker of determination igniting within him. Later, as we packed up to head home, I felt lighter, as if the burdens of the past were shedding away. Shall we grab a coffee before we head back? Sounds good, he replied, a hint of excitement in his voice. At the cafe, we settled into a cozy corner, the aroma of fresh coffee swirling around us. I watched him take his first sip, his expression transforming into one of pure bliss. This is nice. It is, I agreed, feeling a warmth spread through my chest. It's a simple pleasure, but it makes all the difference. We chatted about everything and nothing, the conversation flowing easily. I could see he was more relaxed, more open. Have you thought about what you want to do after school? I asked, curious yet cautious. He paused, tapping his fingers on the table. Honestly, I don't know. I just want to figure out what makes me happy. That's a wonderful goal, I said, leaning in. Happiness is worth pursuing. It's not just about success, it's about fulfillment. He glanced out the window, lost in thought. Maybe I could do something with art. Like design or something. Absolutely. You have a gift, and it's important to follow that passion, I encouraged. You can shape your future in a way that feels right for you. As we left the cafe, I marveled at how far we had come in such a short time. The tension that had once consumed our home seemed like a distant memory, replaced by laughter and understanding. When we arrived home, Sarah rushed to us, her eyes wide with excitement. Did you have fun? Loads, James replied, his enthusiasm bubbling over. "Can I see your drawings?" she asked, bouncing on her toes. "Sure, I'll show you," he said, his voice warm. I watched as they settled down together, James showing her his sketches. The bond between them felt rejuvenated, and I felt a surge of joy. That evening, as we gathered for dinner, a sense of unity enveloped us. We shared stories, laughter, and even a few friendly debates. It was the warmth of family, the kind I had always longed for. As we cleared the table, I caught James looking at his sketchbook, a thoughtful expression on his face. "Mum, I want to submit my piece to the art show. I think it's time." My heart raced with pride. "That's fantastic, James. You're ready to take that leap. I believe in you." "Thanks, Mum, for everything," he said, his voice sincere. In that moment, I realized just how far we had come. The journey had not been easy, but we had discovered so much about ourselves and each other. It wasn't just about overcoming challenges. It was about growth, love, and the beauty of family. As we settled into the evening, I felt a profound sense of hope. We could face whatever came our way, together. The road ahead would undoubtedly have its bumps, but I knew we would navigate it with faith, strength, and a newfound understanding of each other. Life was an adventure, and together, we were ready to embrace it. The next morning, the sun streamed through the kitchen window, casting a warm glow across the table. I busied myself making breakfast, the familiar sounds of sizzling eggs and the kettle boiling filling the air. It felt different today, almost as if the light had a deeper meaning. I could sense a shift, a quiet promise of what was to come. James entered, his hair tousled and a hint of excitement in his eyes. "Morning, Mum," he said, his voice bright. I turned, a smile spreading across my face. "Good morning. How are you feeling today?" "Ready," he replied, determination edging his tone. "I want to work on my art piece." My heart soared. "That's fantastic. Let's make sure you have everything you need." As we ate, he shared snippets of his vision. The ideas flowed like music, each note building upon the last. "I want to capture the essence of joy, like what we saw at the park," he said, a glint of passion igniting within him. "Perfect! That's a beautiful theme," I encouraged, feeling a wave of pride wash over me. "You have a gift for seeing the world in a unique way." He nodded, and I could see the gears turning in his mind. "Thanks, Mum. It feels good to finally have clarity." After breakfast, I helped him gather his supplies, paints, brushes, and a large canvas. Together, we carried everything to the dining room, transforming it into a makeshift studio. The air buzzed with anticipation, and I could almost feel the creativity swirling around us. "All right, let's get started," he said, rolling up his sleeves. I watched him settle into the process, his brow furrowed in concentration. Each stroke of the brush seemed to breathe life into the canvas, and I felt a deep sense of joy watching him reclaim his passion. "Remember, it's not about perfection," I reminded him softly. "It's about expression." He glanced up, his eyes filled with conviction. "I know. I just want to show what I feel." And he did. As the hours passed, the piece began to take shape. Vibrant colors swirling together, each stroke telling a story. I sat nearby, sketching in my own notebook, feeling our energies intertwine. It was a beautiful dance of creativity, a celebration of our connection. Suddenly, James paused, stepping back to survey his work. "What do you think?" I stood, my heart swelling with admiration. "It's incredible. You've captured an entire world within this piece. The joy is palpable." His face lit up, a grin breaking through his earlier concentration. "Really? You think so?" "Absolutely. You're expressing yourself in a way that's truly powerful." An almost shy pride crept onto his face. "I can't believe I'm actually doing this." "You are. And I'm so proud of you for taking that leap," I said, my voice filled with warmth. "This is your victory." He returned to the canvas with renewed vigor, and I resumed my own sketches, the room filled with the sound of brushes on canvas and the soft scratch of pencil on paper. The atmosphere felt electric, charged with an unspoken bond. As the afternoon sun dipped lower, casting a golden hue over our creations, I could see James losing himself in his work. The world outside faded, leaving only the vibrant strokes and the rhythm of his heart. "Can we take a break?" he asked, wiping his brow. "Of course. Let's step outside for a bit," I suggested. We wandered into the garden, where the scent of blooming flowers wrapped around us like a comforting embrace. "What a lovely day," I said, inhaling deeply. "Yeah, it is," he agreed, looking around. "I feel free." "That's the spirit. Embracing that freedom is what leads to growth," I replied, my heart swelling with hope. James turned towards me, a newfound seriousness in his eyes. "Mum, I know I've been difficult. I just didn't understand why you pushed me so hard." I paused, searching for the right words. "I pushed because I love you. I wanted you to have the opportunities I didn't always have. But I also see now that I need to let you find your own path." "I appreciate that," he said, his voice sincere. "I guess I just needed to find my way without all the pressure." "I understand, and I'm here to support you always." With a sense of clarity, we returned to our work, the creative spark between us igniting once more. The canvas transformed under his hands, and I watched as he poured his heart into every brushstroke. As evening approached, James stepped back again, gazing at his nearly finished piece. "I think I might actually be ready to submit this for the show." My heart raced. "That's wonderful. You've put so much of yourself into this." "I feel like I've finally found my voice, Mum," he said, his expression earnest. "It's scary, but it's also exciting. That's the beauty of it. Embrace that fear, let it fuel you. You're on the brink of something amazing," I encouraged, my own heart pounding with pride. Later that night, as we gathered around the dinner table, the atmosphere felt different. Laughter bubbled freely, the tension of the past fading like a distant memory. Sarah shared her day's adventures, and James chimed in with enthusiasm, his earlier struggles now just a shadow behind him. "Mum, can we have a family art night every week?" Sarah asked, her eyes sparkling. James nodded. "Yeah, I'd love that." "Absolutely. It'll be our creative time together," I said, feeling a warmth envelop us. As we cleared the table, I caught James's eye, and we exchanged a knowing smile. He had stepped into his power, and I felt a sense of victory ripple through us both. That night, as I lay in bed, I reflected on how far we had come. The road had been challenging, filled with obstacles, but together we had navigated through. I felt a profound sense of hope for our future, one built on understanding, love, and the freedom to be who we truly were. Tomorrow would be another day, another chance to embrace our individual journeys together. With faith and determination, we would face whatever came our way, united as a family, ready to rise and shine. The sun peeked through the curtains, casting warm rays across the room. I woke, feeling a sense of renewal. Today, I resolved to embrace not just my own journey but also James's transformation. These moments of connection were precious, a testament to our resilience. Downstairs, I found Sarah sketching at the kitchen table, her concentrated expression radiating creativity. "Morning, sweetheart," I said, pouring myself a cup of tea. "Morning, Mum. I'm working on a new character for my story," she replied, her voice bubbling with excitement. "Can't wait to hear all about it," I encouraged, the warmth of her spirit filling me with joy. Just then, James entered, a confident stride in his step. "Hey, everyone," he called, his eyes glimmering with enthusiasm. "Morning, James. Ready for another creative day?" I asked, feeling the air shift with possibilities. "Absolutely. I've got some ideas for the art show." His excitement was contagious, and I felt a surge of hope. As we settled into our routines, I remembered the importance of nurturing our spirits. Each brushstroke, each word penned by Sarah, was a step towards discovering who they were meant to be. I made a mental note to carve out time for our family art night, a sacred space to explore our talents together. After breakfast, we gathered in the garden, sunlight filtering through the leaves. "Let's take a moment to appreciate this beautiful day," I said, breathing in the fresh air. James nodded. "It really is lovely out here. I feel inspired." "Nature's a great muse," I replied, and I could see him absorbing the moment. As he wandered to the edge of the garden, I watched him, recalling my own childhood dreams. "You know, James, when I was your age, I had so many dreams. Sometimes I let fear hold me back." He turned to me, curiosity sparkling in his eyes. "What did you want to do?" "I wanted to be an artist, but I let doubt creep in. Life's pressures took over, and I lost sight of that passion." "Why did you stop?" he asked, genuinely intrigued. "Fear of failure, I suppose. But I see now it's never too late to rediscover what feeds your soul, I said, feeling the weight of my past lift slightly. His expression softened. Mom, you're not alone in that. But I want to be different. I want to chase my dreams without fear. That's the spirit, I encouraged, my heart swelling with pride. You're already on your way. Embrace that strength. The conversation flowed, weaving between hopes and dreams as we shared our aspirations. I could see the threads of understanding knitting us closer together, a tapestry of support and love forming before my eyes. Later, as we returned indoors, Sarah proposed an idea. What if we all worked on a group project for the art night? That's a brilliant idea, James exclaimed. We could create a mural that represents our family. Absolutely. Let's brainstorm themes, I suggested, excitement dancing within me. We huddled around the dining table, our minds racing. The conversation became a whirlwind of ideas, family values, love, dreams, and faith. Each suggestion added a new layer to our collective vision. I felt a spark, a reminder that together we could create something beautiful, just like the family we were striving to be. As the day rolled on, I noticed James becoming increasingly immersed in his artwork. Every time he paused to reflect, I could see the transformation taking root deep within him. Mum, I think I've finally found my style, he said, his voice tinged with pride. Show me, I urged, my heart racing with anticipation. He unveiled his latest piece, a vibrant explosion of colors that captured the essence of joy. It's about freedom and the beauty of being true to myself, he explained, his eyes shining. It's incredible. You've poured yourself into this, and it shows, I said, tears threatening to spill over. Thanks, Mum. Your support means everything, he replied, his gratitude tangible in the air. We shared a moment, a silent understanding passing between us, a bond strengthened through honesty and vulnerability. As evening fell, we gathered in the living room, cozy and warm. How about we read some scripture together? I suggested, feeling the urge to reinforce our faith. James nodded, and Sarah snuggled closer. We opened the Bible, and the words resonated with hope and encouragement. For I know the plans I have for you, I read aloud. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. The truth wrapped around us like a comforting blanket. You see, I said, God has a purpose for each of us. Even in the challenges, He guides us toward our destiny. James looked up, his expression thoughtful. I want to remember that. It's easy to forget when things get tough. That's why we lean on each other, I reminded him. Faith and family, they're our anchors. As the night deepened, we shared stories, laughter echoing through the house. The walls that had once felt heavy with tension now resonated with joy. Before we retired for the night, I caught a moment with James. You've come so far, love. I'm proud of the man you're becoming. Thanks, Mum. I couldn't have done it without you, he replied, sincerity in his voice. With a renewed sense of purpose, we drifted off to sleep, ready to face tomorrow together. I felt a profound sense of peace, a reminder that our journey was one of growth, faith, and love. No matter the trials ahead, I knew we would rise together, stronger and more united than ever. The next morning brought a chill in the air, a subtle reminder that change often comes with discomfort. I awoke to the sound of shuffling feet, the kitchen bustling with activity. James was there, flipping pancakes, his smile warm and genuine. Morning, Mum. Thought I'd surprise you. Today, he said with a wink, the aroma of syrup wafting through the air, weaving a tapestry of comfort. Wow, look at you, I exclaimed, my heart swelling with pride. A chef in the making. This looks amazing. I settled at the table, watching him with admiration as he deftly worked, his confidence growing with each flip of the spatula. Sarah joined us, eyes still heavy with sleep but a grin spreading across her face as she caught the scent of breakfast. What's the special occasion? She asked, plopping down next to James. Just trying to show my appreciation for my brilliant family, he replied, handing her a plate stacked high with pancakes. I marveled at how the morning light caught the renewed spirit within him, casting a glow that lifted our hearts. As we gathered around the table, sharing laughter and stories, the world outside faded away. But beneath the surface, I sensed an undercurrent, a whisper of worry that lingered at the back of my mind. I had watched James blossom, yet I couldn't shake the fear that he might falter again. Would this newfound confidence hold? Later that afternoon, with the sun hanging low in the sky, we headed to the local art show. The community center buzzed with excitement, an array of colors and creativity on display. As we walked through the gallery, I felt a swell of pride for my children. James's artwork was showcased prominently, vibrant and alive, capturing the essence of his journey. "Look at that one," Sarah exclaimed, pointing to a piece that resonated with her adventurous spirit. "It's like it's calling to me." James beamed at her enthusiasm, the bond between them evident. "Let's get a closer look," he said, leading her toward the canvas. As we meandered through the crowd, I noticed a familiar face. Elizabeth, an old friend from my school days, approached with a smile. "Mary, it's been ages. How are you?" "Elizabeth!" "I'm well, thank you. Just navigating the joys and challenges of motherhood," I replied, feeling a rush of nostalgia. "Oh, I remember those days. You always had such high hopes for your kids," she said, her tone reflective. "How's James doing? I heard he's quite the artist now." "He is," I replied, pride spilling over. "He's really found his voice." As we chatted, I couldn't help but notice Elizabeth's gaze shift to James. "He's grown so much," she said, a hint of wistfulness in her tone. "But you know, the pressure can be overwhelming. Kids today face so much, and sometimes they just need space to breathe." Her words hung in the air, heavy and ominous. I felt a flicker of doubt creeping back in. Had I been too focused on his success? Had I pushed him too hard? Just then, James approached, excitement radiating from him. "Mum, you've got to see this. My piece is getting a lot of attention." I turned to Elizabeth, a smile plastered on my face, but inside I felt the unease grow. "That's fantastic, James. Let's go take a look." As we made our way to his artwork, I felt the weight of expectations settle on my shoulders once more. I wanted him to succeed, but at what cost? The voices of my own childhood echoed in my mind, reminding me of the pressures that had shaped my path. When we reached his piece, a small crowd had gathered, admiring his work. I watched as he spoke passionately about his inspiration, his confidence shining through. But then I saw it, a flicker of anxiety in his eyes, a hint of uncertainty lurking beneath the surface of his bravado. After the show, we walked back to the car in silence. I could feel the tension building again, like a storm brewing on the horizon. "You did amazing today, love," I said, trying to bridge the growing chasm. "Thanks, Mum," he replied, his voice distant. But I could feel everyone's eyes on me. "What if I mess it all up?" I reached out, placing a hand on his shoulder. "You won't. You're strong, James. Remember what we talked about embracing who you are?" He nodded, but I could see the doubt lingering. "It's just, what if I can't keep it up? What if I'm not really good enough?" "Listen to me," I said firmly, pausing to meet his gaze. "You are more than enough. Your journey is yours alone. Don't let fear dictate your path. You have the strength to overcome anything." As we drove home, the conversation lingered in the air. I realized that the battle wasn't just his, it was ours. The weight of expectations, the fear of failure, they were burdens we both carried. I needed to let go of my fears and trust in his ability to navigate his own journey. That night, as we sat together in the living room, I gathered my courage. "Can we talk, James?" "About what happened today?" "Sure, Mum." His expression was guarded, a wall still standing between us. "I want you to know that I believe in you, but I also need to understand you." "What do you really want?" He hesitated, the silence stretching between us, heavy with unspoken thoughts. "I want to create, Mum, but I also want to enjoy it, not have it feel like a job." "Then let's make it fun again. We can explore together, without pressure," I suggested, feeling the weight of our past begin to lift. "Really? You'd do that?" he asked, surprise flickering across his face. "Absolutely. I want to support your journey however that looks. Let's rediscover the joy in art, in life, together." We shared a moment of understanding, the walls between us starting to crumble. I could see the glimmer of hope return, a spark igniting the space between us. As the night wore on, we began to dream again, not just about art, but about life itself. In that moment, I felt the power of our bond woven together through faith, love, and the willingness to embrace our individual paths. Tomorrow would be another day, another chance to redefine our journey. Together, we would rise, stronger and more united than ever, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The next morning, sunlight filtered softly through the kitchen window, illuminating the remnants of yesterday's pancakes on the counter. I could hear James stirring in his room, and for a moment I felt an overwhelming sense of hope. Maybe today would be different. Maybe we could start anew. As I poured coffee, I replayed our conversation in my mind. His words echoed, a melody of dreams wrapped in fear. I wanted him to feel the freedom to create without the weight of expectations pressing down. But how? I needed to be the change he needed. Morning. James stepped into the kitchen, hair tousled and eyes still sleep-laden. His smile was tentative, but it was there. "What's for breakfast?" "Thought I'd let you sleep in." "Just toast and jam," I replied, keeping my tone light. "But we can whip something up if you're hungry." "I'm good. Just thinking." He leaned against the counter, fiddling with the edge of a dish towel. "About what?" I asked, trying to encourage him to open up. "About art. I want to try something new, something that's just me." His voice was soft, but the determination behind it was unmistakable. "Then why not? Let's explore that together." I leaned in, my heart racing with the promise of discovery. "What do you have in mind?" He hesitated for a moment, glancing down at his feet. "Maybe I could do a mural. Something big, something meaningful. I've got an idea." "Then let's do it. We can find a wall, gather supplies. It'll be an adventure," I said, enthusiasm bubbling up. "Just you and me." A spark ignited in his eyes. "Really? You'd help?" "Of course, I'd love to." I felt a rush of warmth as I saw the flicker of excitement grow. "Let's not think about what others expect. Let's just create." As the day unfolded, we ventured into town, a world brimming with potential. The local community center had a wall begging for life, gray and worn. It stood as a canvas waiting to be reborn. With each brushstroke, I felt our bond strengthen. We laughed, splashed paint on one another by accident, and shared stories of our dreams, both big and small. "This is more fun than I thought," James admitted, his cheeks flushed with excitement. "I forgot how good it feels to just let go." "Exactly. It's not about perfection, it's about expression," I reminded him, splattering a bit of blue paint on my own cheek. He chuckled, and in that moment, the air was light, the burdens of yesterday momentarily forgotten. As we painted together, I felt a shift within me. My worries began to fade. I was learning to trust him, to let him explore his own path. I could see his confidence building with every stroke. "This is really turning out well," I said, stepping back to admire our work. "Yeah, it feels right," he replied, his eyes bright with passion. "I think it's like I'm finally finding my voice." "Because you are," I said softly. "Never doubt that." But as the sun dipped low in the sky, the shadows of doubt crept back in. I caught a glimpse of him staring at our mural, the vibrant colors clashing with the dark fears lurking in his mind. "Mom, what if this doesn't work out? What if I'm just not good enough?" "James," I said, my heart aching for him, "you are good enough. You're more than enough. Remember, it's not about the outcome. It's about the journey, the joy in the process." He turned to me, and I could see the conflict in his eyes. "But what if I fail?" "Then we'll learn together," I replied firmly. "Failure is just a step on the path to success. It's about resilience. We fall, we get up, and we keep going. That's life, love, and I'll be right here by your side." He nodded, but I could sense the uncertainty still swirling. "I just don't want to disappoint you." "Listen, sweetheart," I said, kneeling to meet his gaze. "You could never disappoint me. I want you to follow your heart. That's what truly matters." As the last brush stroke was laid, we stood back to admire our work, a mural bursting with color, a reflection of our journey, our struggles, and our triumphs. In that moment, we were not just mother and son, we were partners, allies in this beautiful mess called life. That night, as we sat on the sofa, a sense of peace settled over us. The warmth of the day lingered in the air like a gentle embrace. "Can we keep working on the mural tomorrow?" he asked, his voice steady. "Absolutely. And let's make a plan for more projects. We can explore different styles, different techniques. Let's keep the creativity flowing." "Yeah, and I'll even let you pick the music," he joked, a playful glint in his eye. "Deal," I laughed, feeling lighter than I had in weeks. As I settled into bed that night, a wave of gratitude washed over me. I had witnessed a transformation not just in him, but in myself. We were learning to navigate this path together, hand in hand, guided by faith and the love we shared. The next morning, as the sun rose, I felt a renewed commitment to embrace this journey. We would face challenges, yes, but we would do it together. The mural had become more than just paint on a wall. It was a testament to our growth, our resilience, and our unbreakable bond. As I watched James step into this new chapter, I felt the weight of expectations begin to lift. We were free to create, to explore, and to discover who we truly were, unbound by the fears of yesterday. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, but we would face them together, stronger and more united than ever. The morning sun poured through the window, casting a warm glow across the kitchen. I watched as James moved about, his demeanor lighter than it had been in weeks. He hummed a tune, the rhythm of our newfound connection echoing in the air. Today, we would continue our mural, but it felt like we were embarking on a much larger journey, one of discovery and self-acceptance. "Ready for round 2?" I asked, my heart swelling with excitement. He flashed me a grin. "Absolutely. I've been thinking about some new ideas." "Let's hear them," I encouraged, setting down my coffee mug and leaning in, eager to listen. He paused, his brow furrowing in concentration. "What if we added some words? Like quotes that inspire us? Something that captures our journey." "Brilliant idea," I exclaimed, the thought igniting a fire within me. Words can be powerful. They can lift us up, remind us of our strength. We began brainstorming, filling the room with laughter and creativity. Each phrase we considered felt like a thread weaving us closer together. "How about strength through struggle?" he suggested, his voice tinged with conviction. Or, "Every setback is a setup for a comeback," I added, feeling the truth of those words resonate deep within. James nodded, the spark of inspiration evident in his eyes. "Let's write those down and paint them into the mural." As we gathered our supplies, I felt a sense of purpose envelop us. We were not just painting a wall, we were creating a narrative of resilience and faith. Every brushstroke became a testament to our journey, the struggles, the victories, the love that bound us together. The community center was bustling with activity as we arrived. A group of children played nearby, their laughter ringing through the air, a reminder of innocence and joy. It brought me back to my own childhood, filled with dreams and aspirations. I wanted to nurture that spirit in James, to help him see the beauty in the process. We set to work, the vibrant colors splashing onto the wall like a kaleidoscope of hope. With each stroke, I noticed James becoming more confident. The initial hesitance faded as he unleashed his creativity, pouring his heart into the mural. "Look, Mum," he called, stepping back to admire his work. "This is turning out so much better than I imagined." "Absolutely. It's more than just paint, it's a reflection of who you are," I replied, my heart swelling with pride. As the afternoon sun began to set, casting a golden hue across the mural, we stepped back to assess our progress. The words we had chosen intertwined beautifully with the colors, creating a tapestry of meaning. "This is amazing," he said, his voice filled with awe. "It is," I agreed, feeling the weight of our journey lift a little more with each glance at our creation. "And James, this mural is a reminder that life is about embracing who we are, not who we think we should be." He nodded thoughtfully, the realization settling in. "I think I get it now. It's okay to be me, to chase my own dreams." "Exactly, and I'll always support you," I affirmed, placing my hand on his shoulder. "We're in this together." As we prepared to leave, I paused to take in the mural once more. It was more than just paint on a wall. It was a symbol of our growth, our struggles, and our unwavering bond. The journey had not been easy, but together we had forged a new path. That evening, as we returned home, the air felt lighter. The tension that had once filled our house had transformed into an atmosphere of hope and possibility. We settled on the sofa, exhaustion mingling with satisfaction. "Can we come back tomorrow?" James asked, his eyes bright with anticipation. "I want to finish it." "Of course, this is just the beginning," I replied, my heart soaring. As we chatted about our plans, I felt a wave of gratitude wash over me. We had not only painted a mural, We had painted a new chapter in our lives, one filled with love, acceptance, and faith in each other. Later that night, as I tucked James in, I whispered, "I'm proud of you, love. Remember, it's not about perfection. It's about the journey we share." "I know, Mum." "Thank you for believing in me," he said, his voice steady. As I turned off the light and closed the door, I couldn't shake the feeling that we had both been changed. The struggles had brought us closer, and the mural was a vivid reminder that every setback was a chance for redemption. The next morning, I awoke with renewed energy. Today, we would finish what we started. With each brushstroke, we would celebrate our journey, our faith, and our unbreakable bond. As we stepped into the community center, I felt the weight of yesterday dissipate into the air. The mural awaited us, a canvas of hope ready to be completed. Together, we would transform that wall into a vibrant testament of who we were becoming, more than mother and son, but partners in this beautiful mess called life. With faith in our hearts and paint on our hands, we were ready to face whatever lay ahead, united and stronger than ever.